Peace, family. We are now live. We are now live. What's going on with y'all in the chat room? Gonna have a great show for y'all tonight. Thanks for your patience. As usual, make sure you hit the like button. We about to get it popping. Make sure you tell your friends and family we are now live. Gonna have a great, amazing conversation tonight. And before we start, as usual, I'm gonna get to a few commercials, but I'll be right back in about 1 minute, family. So be right back, get comfortable, and we're gonna get. I'm gonna introduce my guests, and we're gonna start the show, family.
It's the numerational session with King Simon. Text your full name and date of birth to 347-496-1022. That's 347-496-1022. And get my books on Amazon now.
Hey there! Had a bad dream? I have dreams too. Some parts are scary and some parts are fun. Always remind yourself, it's only a dream and everything will be okay. I had a dream about being in a forest too. Check it out, my pet Petey was with me. Order your copy of Kayla Petey and the Forest on Amazon today.
All right, all right. So without further ado, family, I want to welcome. Well, BDell, Red BDell said this is the MSG of consciousness. Welcome,
That's
BDell and
right.
Red Pill to the Master
Hold on.
of consciousness.
Peace to the family.
Yes.
Indeed.
BDell Red Pill, how y'all doing, man?
I'm doing great, man. I'm doing
I'm
really
doing
good.
wonderful. All is well. I'm gratitude. Grateful to be here.
Indeed. Oh man, we're gonna have a great show tonight. As usual, I really appreciate what you brothers bring to the global community in terms of your teachings, and I know tonight is gonna be absolute fire. Great conversation tonight. I was actually inspired to talk about this. Just watching, just scratching my head. I'm watching the situation with John Morant, and that's an aspect of what we're dealing with. And I'm scratching my head and I'm saying, how the hell are you that dumb? And you're not that dumb. He's a smart dude. People who are around him say he's actually pretty intelligent. And I notice every time he's flashing the gun. For those who don't know, John Morant probably one of the top 5, definitely top 10 basketball players in the NBA. Amazing talent, amazing young talent. The brother's only 23 years old. And he was caught earlier this year flashing a gun on the internet, listening while he was listening to NBA YoungBoy. I think he was in a strip club. He listened to NBA YoungBoy flashing a gun. Got suspended by the NBA. Big ordeal. Everybody said, all right. The brother made a mistake. He's young. Let's hope he learned his lesson. 3 months, 4 months later, this dude is in the car, a dude filming him, and he flashes a gun again. We're like, what the hell is wrong with this nigga's crazy? So, but one thing that everybody noticed, that everybody's commenting on, is that he's listening to NBA YoungBoy while he's doing this. So not to single NBA YoungBoy out, but to have a bigger, wider, deeper conversation that we continuously have that the world has not caught up on yet about music. We are very musical people genetically. In our DNA, we are music. We vibrate. We're rhythmic. We're melodic. We're harmonic. And it seems as though the music influences us more than anybody in the world. I don't know. Maybe you'll correct me if I'm wrong. But I want to talk to y'all. What it seems to be that when people listen to this music, that they are possessed. They know right from wrong. They know what they're doing, what's wrong or what's right. But in that temporary moment, when they're vibing out to the music, it's like they're possessed, and they just do whatever the music tells them to do in that very moment. So let's talk about frequency programming, possession, and let's talk about this whole John Morant thing, and we'll get wider with the discussion and conversation. But what do y'all think about music having the ability to temporarily possess somebody, and regardless of whether you know right or wrong, you're going to end up doing shit that you hear in those lyrics?
All right. To add context to the question, excellent question that you asked real quick, my good brother. I want to open it up before anybody says anything to add context to who NBA YoungBoy is.
Okay, great.
because there's often an arrogance that people will have about artists that they don't know about, or if they don't listen to them, or if they're younger than them. Don't let it be a name that somebody who's in this audience has never heard before. NBA young boy, who it, man? Why are we talking about that? That, you know what I mean? And they'll try to dismiss it as something small.
Right.
Right. But I want to share with everybody that's out there that this artist that we're talking about, and when we talk about the frequency, and when we talk about the influence, and when we talk about who controls the minds of your children, because I saw y'all all on Mother's Day. Everybody is a mama. Y'all all got teenagers. Mm-hmm. He is on Billboard, right? Mm-hmm. On rec, he broke a Billboard record for having the most album entries on Billboard, more than Jay-Z. Hold on.
I did not know that. I did not know that.
Yes.
He has more album entries on Billboard, right? Not number ones. He has 3 number ones on the Billboard charts, but he had more album entries on the billboards than Jay-Z. Okay, broke Jay-Z's record, right? He surpasses Jay-Z for solo rappers with the most charting albums on Billboard Top 200. So they're not listening to his singles, they're listening to his albums, the whole body of work. Okay, he is a mega artist that nobody really understands and knows about of the older generation. Okay, he's not only setting the trend, but he is creating the Egregor. He is tapping into the Egregor that these children are marching to. And when we identify what we're seeing, right, and we are identifying this as crash out culture. This crash out culture is an offshoot of what our good brother, the Kabbalah god, A.A. Rashid, the rabbi, coined aesthetic nihilism, right? And we could get into the Western philosophy of nihilism and existentialism and everything, so we can understand what it is that we're seeing. Not just with NBA Youngboy, he belongs to a collective. This collective of artists represent what we would deem shadow. This collective of artists will represent what we deem the shadow self or the dark side, right? In man, you're presented with 3 different personas. You have your public face that you show the world. You have your public persona that you go outside with. Then you have your private persona or your private self, or the private that nobody knows, only you and your whiz. She knows your kinks. She knows what you like. She knows your secrets. But then you have the secret self that people don't know where the bodies are buried. Only you know these secrets. It's some things that you take to the grave with you that people really don't know about, and they'll never get to see that person. These artists, they come to us with their secret self. I'm a killer. And we start finding out that they really killing. These artists are different than the artists that we grew up with. The artists that we grew up with were not killing people. They were talking about it. They were rapping excellently about it. They were planting the seeds. The artists of today are really killing shit. For real, for real. To the level where there was a documentary on King Von, and they identified him as a serial killer and made the case. Yeah. They showed, they broke down the definition of what a serial killer, and he fit right in that category. And the documentary, which is 3 hours long, lined up all of his bodies. They showed how he would tweet about it. But let me share something with you about what he was doing in those days, because we're talking early Twitter. We're talking 2012, 2011. He was seeding the minds of millions of the youth back then, right? So the 12-year-olds grew up to be the 20-year-old Pop Smokes of 2020. They was like, yo, Pop Smoke looks so old for his age. Yeah, because he was participating in the Squid Games of what Chicago and them were doing on Twitter, right? People talk about AI is going to kill them. Nah, them niggas from Chicago is going to kill you. The drill rappers are going to kill you. We watching rappers kill each other. this was never like this before. I was reminded of that watching the Dear Mama documentary on Tupac Amaru Shakur, right? Put some respect on his name. And it was showing that it wasn't a lot of rappers getting shot every day back in those days. When he got shot in Quad Studio, the next rapper to get shot was him in Las Vegas. But nowadays, in the year of 2020, there was 200 dead rappers. So there's an egregor on the loose. And an egregor is a thought form. The day they made hip-hop pop music, they put that egregor into the mainstream. And by putting it into the mainstream, by making a certain frequency pop or popular culture, oh man, they succeeded in doing something that we're seeing the remnants of. And that is to erect what I could see as, if they say that if they say that hip hop is dead, then God damn it, this is the deaf culture. So yeah, I'm gonna hand it over to you, brother.
Well, I agree when you was talking about the psychological egregor. So that is conducive to the fact that it's acclimated to dark psychology. So the music in itself, when you're at a low vibrational state, it can basically cause a behavior modification.
Yes.
So with that being said, that's a form of demonic possession, I should say, because you also got to understand that your energetic morphic field is connected to your nervous system, and your nervous system is also acclimated to your neurological faculties. So when your energetic morphic field is at a low vibrational state, this is where you got demonic entities and disembodied spirits can attach themselves.
Right.
So now you can control on an energetic level to where you can carry out a certain agenda that's being propagated by archons in the quantum world.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And keep in mind, we're talking about individuals who are not only lowering their fields and whatnot, they are intoxicated, they are inebriated, right? They're underneath the trance of pharmacopoeia in some states and whatnot. So they got holes in their aura already. You know what I mean? Their defenses are down because, you know, they're defocalized. That brings these walk-ins. What are these walk-ins doing? These walk-ins are those voices that people claim that they're hearing. Those voices that people that they're claiming that they're hearing are actually that's the egregor. That's the programming. You know what I'm talking about? And it's telling you, you know, so people listen to certain type of music and then you go to sleep and you have a nightmare. You go to sleep and you start thinking about that. You go to sleep and an incubus or a succubus basically is on top of you. You know what I'm talking about? You have one of those, you listen to a certain type of frequency of music at 3 a.m. while smoking some GMO weed, while drinking some Douce. You know what I'm talking about? And you might knock down a sausage or two. Pause. Right? And then you wonder why when you fall down or when you fall out, because people are not even going to sleep, they're passing out. And then you're going on these journeys and whatnot, and you like, yo, and don't be on some shrooms or something, because a lot of y'all, I don't even want it. Y'all really be on the edge.
And then also to add to that, you also have the 72 sigils of demons that's conducive to the Ars Goetia. When you look at certain cymatic frequencies of the music, they're basically a direct emulation of those sigils to where some can take over the body. So that's why it's imperative to listen to music that's operating at 420 megahertz frequency. So that's why.
At least for a cleanse or a washing, it's almost like an auric shower. You know, I'm not gonna be sitting in the Maybach, you know what I'm saying, going way back and try to lie to y'all and make it seem like I'm only listening to opera music. You feel me? I'm a Scorpio. I indulge in those dark chords and those synths and whatnot. I can listen to the darkest of the darkest things. It's what is it doing to? It's not about what you listening. It's what are you doing?
Exactly.
After listening to these quote unquote frequencies and whatnot. I know how to transmute. I know how to turn that into some form of creativity and whatnot. I know how to basically, I'm an alchemist. I can alchemize that energy that I'm receiving from one of these Gucci Man classics and whatnot. And I could apply that to where it needs to be applied. because my mind is right. I'm thinking at a higher level. So, you know what I'm saying? Nothing can, it's not going to bring me down, but I would be almost remissive if I were not to identify multiple throughways in these artists that are on similar frequencies. And I'm like, nah, I see the egregor at work. It's a demonic one at that. And egregor, let me give you the definition because people should really look into this. It has an historic reference to it, but it's also an occultic aspect to it. And you're dealing with high level occultists. You're dealing with high level, quote unquote, wizardry in these industries that are multi-trillion dollar industries, but not just multi-trillion dollar industries. These are the industries that control the world. Music is a global power. It could be weaponized in many ways. It's beyond a cash cow.
Mm-hmm. And I agree with you saying, like, it's being weaponized. It's most definitely being weaponized on a scale of eugenics as well, because a lot of people got to understand that it's also plays a part with the with Henry Kissinger when he said that he put out that National Memorandum 200 in 1975. He said that Black birth is at unstable heights, and the best way to basically infiltrate, us on the spiritual level is to compromise the music. Right
After Patrick Moynihan put out the report in 1965, the Negro Problem, right? So that's their version of white papers, right? They put out research papers, and their research papers are picked up by colleges, professors, scholars, scientists, investors, all kind of people around the world. They'll take that paper and that research and work upon it. You know what I mean? They'll create experiments. They'll create budgets, and they'll put those budgets to work. And if anybody on this quote unquote channel or this platform tonight is under the impression or as naive enough to think that the music industry has not been highly infiltrated by CIA, FBI, and all of the quote unquote counterintelligence agencies, the same counterintelligence agency that crushed the Panthers and crushed all of the resistance behind these quote unquote what they call enemy lines, then you out of your goddamn mind. I was in Philadelphia airport and they had a display about the 50th anniversary that coincides with the 50th anniversary of hip hop of Stax Record, Philadelphia Sound, right? And when I saw that, it reminded me of what happened with Gamble and Huff when Clive Davis went from the CIA, wrote a white paper detailing how to infiltrate Black music. Clive Davis took that white paper and then he infiltrated Philadelphia. And when they took down that black label, when they took down that magnificent, I'm talking about Patti LaBelle, I'm talking about Teddy Pendergrass, I'm talking about the super duper legends. If you don't know about the Philadelphia Sound, please look it up. And it was all melanated owned and whatnot. But that was a checkmate. When they was able to take that, they infiltrated, and we've never been able to look back. They created departments and they labels for R&B. And then Clive Davis let things rock for a little while. He's the main culprit. I'm one of the people who, yes, I will identify players and quote unquote agents that exist down the line and whatnot, but I like to hit primal source. You know what I'm talking about? I like to attack the primal source. It's almost like getting to the root of a tree. You people are out here cutting off the branches and whatnot. I'm going for the head of the snake. I'm going to give you the root, so when you pull it up, you can really affect this thing. Because there are living people right now who are the root to some of the issues and some of the frequencies and they're tied in to what we're seeing and whatnot. But I want to use a disclaimer that, this is an observation. You know what I mean? We're not coming at this with the emotions. You know what I mean? This is not boycott hip hop and everything. No, this ain't that. Because nobody on this line is going to stop nobody from listening to the music that they listen to. What we want you to do, though, is approach the music with an understanding, and be able to, when that frequency hits you, you could take that and do something with it. And you might be under a spell and not even know it. But yeah.
Yeah, so we talked I think Red Pill mentioned earlier about transmuting certain the low frequencies of certain songs. I notice a lot of people when they're like, let's say they're in the gym, they may listen to music that we call low vibrational, but it actually gives them energy. So they may, if you in the gym and you bench pressing or you lifting weights, you may listen to a DMX, you may listen to somebody a Gucci Man or whoever gets you hype, just so you could do your reps because it energizes you while you do your reps. My question is, do you think it's easier to transmute lower frequencies to higher frequencies when you're alone? Because it appears that when people are in a group, they don't have that same ability, but when they're by themselves, it's more easy to do. So do you think there's a difference between listening to music by yourself versus listening to music when you're in a group and y'all all listening to low vibrational music?
Yes, and the reason I said it is because of energy transfer. So when you have an amalgamation of people in a certain location all together with a low vibrational state, the music in itself can, it can be used as a demonic tool, basically. But also, a lot of times, like when I find myself in the gym, when I'm working out, I actually sometimes work out the R&B music. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of
for real?
He's a legend.
Yeah,
like who? Give me an example. Like who? Like who?
like
Who
I
listen
listen
to, man?
He said R&B.
Yeah, it's got a different energy to it, man. Because I don't know, it's that love frequency. But I don't do it all the times. But sometimes I throw on like the Donnell Jones.
Yo, that's crazy. You mentioned that. No, you just brought to mind today on God in them. I was in the gym with Blue Pill. I'm on Instagram, and there was a video to show all of the songs that Teddy Riley produced. Yo, he's a legend. His catalog is crazy.
Right.
And I heard the guy song, and I was working out to it because it releases dopamine. It's feel good. You know what I mean? So if you feeling good and whatnot, yeah, and then you could really tap in. Yeah, I want to be I want an R&B body, and then I like that. I'm gonna try that out. I'm gonna definitely try that out.
But but most of the time when you listen to certain music like that, for a lot of people who don't understand the diametrical difference between music and reality, they can be compromised on the energetic level when it comes to the music, the negative frequencies of it. So that's why, due to energy transfer, that's why a lot of times I remember back in college when certain songs come on and you had a lot of people in the area, they start fighting.
Right.
So
right.
It just depends on the energy of the people that's around you.
I definitely agree.
Do you think musicians are the most powerful programmers in the world? Like there's religion in that program, there's television, there's movies, there's different things that people watch or give their attention to that programs them. Do you think musicians are the most powerful programmers, that thus making them the most powerful people on the planet?
Think about it. Words are worlds. Words are worlds. So the mastery of the English language has steps to it. Keep in mind, on the steps of the Masonic pyramid, where's music? Second to the top. Second to the top. Yeah, second to the top. When they talk about Lucifer and whatnot, what was he a master at? What?
Music.
At the music. So if you could take word and turn it into song, you're actually singing. Now you turn it into a melodic frequency, right? There's no on this where remember, we're talking about from day one. Before there was anything else, there was the word. So the master of the word, mastering the word in prose and with the poetry, when you're mastering the word and you could paint pictures with the words, and then when you could go beyond painting the picture with the words, and you could put the words in rhyme. By putting the words in a rhyme, you're putting it actually in spell form. That's how you cast spells. And then when you put it on the drum or on the beat, that's when you accelerate it. And now when you speak through these microphones, you know the power of the microphone, right? You a producer. So you know how microphones have accelerated the quote unquote the word. The word. If a perfect mix on a song is made and whatnot, and the word could be heard and is layered correctly on a sound bed, you have yourself what is known as a hit. It's nothing more powerful than that. You casting spells, you telling people what it is, you terraforming reality. I watch Biggie Smalls, Tupac Shakur, and some of my favorite rappers like Wu-Tang terraform my perception of reality. I don't know what the whole world was doing, but I know the reality is based on perception, and they terraformed everything around me with their words, bro. No politician could do that. The people on TV is cool and everything. Movies have a big impact, but they be sweating the musicians though.
Yeah, they do. The basketball, everybody,
the musician is the magician.
The musicians,
the musician is the magician.
Yeah, BDell, you want to chime in on that question? Do you think musicians are the most powerful people on the planet?
No, like I agree with what he was saying as far as a producer. Producer has a lot more hands-on experience on how to cultivate a certain sound. So you also got, due to the fact that the great majority of music that's being, amplified in our generation, what's missing is the soul essence of the music. Just like, back in the early 2000s, you had the like Dipset, they had the soul samples and stuff like that. You don't really hear a lot of that in the music,
right?
Because the soul samples, when you amalgamate it with the modern day sound, it can basically dematerialize a lot of the afflictions that go on in our generation, because it's not propagating gangsterism, or it's not propagating sexual proclivities and things of that nature. So I agree. The embodiment of the sound that the producer puts in the music basically is the foundation of what takes place in society.
That is a fact. The producer is the time traveler. You the one who prepared a time machine. It's not the artist who's writing the rhyme. You don't time travel through the word. You build world. You could build world. You'll build worlds, and you paint pictures with the word. But it's the beat, it's the music that takes you back in time. Why did they outlaw, or why did they stop the samples? Why? Because when the 90s baby, remember, if you a 90s baby, or if you were 2000 babies, and I put the 70s sample in a hit like the Jamie Foxx, shout out to Jamie, and the Ye song and whatnot, you go back in time. Oh, Peasy song. Was it well, we heard it on the call. We was together. The dude from Detroit, Peasy. You going back in time. That's a bop right there. So now I'm a 90s baby. I'm not connected to the 70s. The soul takes me back in time to the 70s. I'm checking out that music. When I hear the real song, I'm like, oh, I heard that before. Oh, that's that. The samples are magical. That was our connection. So remember, the fathers, this hip hop is 50 years old. The originators, right? The primals, the architects of this thing, that is their sound, bro. They grew up to real soul music, and soul music, like BDell was saying, is real music. If the children hear that, if the babies hear that, if these 2000 babies, imagine a child that grew up hearing nothing but DMX. Or nothing but NBA Youngboy in the womb, or nothing but Boozy Badass. I'm gonna give you the whole lineage of them. Let's talk in terms of Gremlin, and no disrespect to anybody. I'm not trying to call nobody out of their name in a sense like that, because I don't want to defame anybody. However, people know the movie Gremlin, right? So in the movie Gremlin, you understand the concept of Gizmo, Stripe, and everything that came from Stripe. Right? So think in terms of Gizmo as being an artist who was not compromised. Or you could think of Gizmo as an artist who, when rap first came out, they wasn't necessarily talking about their quote unquote private and their secret life to the extent that these rappers are confessing on wax right now and giving you the darkest secrets and whatnot, and telling you details about their private and their secret life that nobody should know in the public, especially people that you kill, torture, and do horrible things to. So then you have Stripe. Stripe is when Gizmo went completely dark. Stripe is Gizmo's shadow, right? Stripe is on demon time. And out of the backs of Stripe come many. Out of one comes many, right? We don't die. We do what?
Multiply.
So going back to what I was saying before, you got to be able to identify primary source. Who is NBA Youngboy? NBA Youngboy is a gremlin, but he comes from the stripe of Boozy Badass, who's born on my birthday. Hey.
To this day, you don't find that suspicious. To this day, you don't find that suspicious.
I know what kind of darkness a Boozy Badass has inside of him because he was born on my birthday. I just know from a scorpionic perspective, if I were to tilt myself into my dark side the way that he has, I know what that's capable of. He's born on my day. So Kevin Gates and Boozy Badass would be the quote unquote parents of that style of that rapper that you see called NBA Youngboy today, right? He's an offshoot of that. There are many gremlins of Lil Wayne running around in the music industry. One of them is named Young Thug. And from him, many have come from, right? And they just keep multiplying and multiplying. It is attached to a certain egregor. It is attached to a certain dark energy. I could even identify it in Jamaica. You have a man called Vibes Cartel.
Facts.
When you go and pull up, yo, can I share my screen real quick? I mean, I don't want to turn this into a lecture or nothing, brother, but there's sometimes people got to see things. Matter of fact, I'm gonna do a keynote tonight on my thing because I don't want to take up people's time tonight. I'll do it on Melanin Monday, right? But I want y'all to see the faces of these young men. Hold on, real quick. I want you to see what possession looks like. We have to be real with ourselves. How is it that regular people could get hexes on them and be possessed, but artists can't? Talk to me. Like these are multi-billionaires and millionaires, and they're around. They have millions of people, and when they're involved in things like murder, when they're involved in things like killing off your other people's favorite artists and stuff like that, you have no idea what could be done to them in the spirit realm. When I look at pictures of some of these artists, I'm like, oh nah, you're hearing the frequency of a demon. They're really on demon time because I could see possession in them. I could see the possession in them. Some of these artists may have to have got work done so they could have stayed alive. Do you know some of the stories of some of these people? The shit sounds. It reads from a whatchamacallit, from an H.P. Lovecraft novel.
And speaking on demon time, if you also, when you look at the great majority, see, I was born in the 90s, so the great majority, kids in my generation, our parents listened to R&B music, so you could produce a love child with R&B music, and now, you know what I'm saying, you fast forward to my generation, a lot of these children are being made through trap music, drill music, because the cymatic octave frequency in the self of the music can basically compromise the energy of the child when it's being born. So now you can understand why these kids are on demon time, because they weren't made out of love. You know what I'm saying?
Excellent point. I want to ask now about the relationship between music and water. We heard Dr. Emoto, the Japanese gentleman who talked about, he would talk to water and say words like love or hate. And, they use technology where they would freeze it and show a picture and it was like crystallized and stuff like that. So we know that a lot of people know the science of talking to our water. What do you think about actually taking it up a level and instead of talking to our water, starting to play music to our water? Do you think that would have a higher, more effective impact on the water we drink if instead of just talking to it, now we started to play music to it?
I think if a brand branded itself as a warehouse that supercharges all of its water with the 432 hertz, they would become one of the top water brands in the game.
I just gave a business. Woo! $1 million idea. Woo!
Yeah,
$1 million idea.
Talk nice. Okay. Yeah. For anybody that runs with that, we're gonna timestamp this. Just do it. Do what you got to do. Do what's right, because the universe is watching. It ain't on me after that. But I threw one at you. Very important, my brother. Highly of one of the most highest of importance at this moment, I would feel, because it seems like things are running out, that things are becoming a little more limited in the realms of what is actually real. So what is the most important thing at this point in time when it's all about sharp mental aptitude at this moment, at this very moment? I have no idea. We don't know what's coming down the pipeline. And yesterday already happened. Shout out to Glorilla. You know what I mean? But tomorrow, right now, it's about having your mind super sharp. So I would highly suggest that everybody begin doing that. And charge your body as well, because you're 70% water. But go ahead.
But yeah, as I was saying, when it also correlates to the water as well. When I was talking about the 72 sigils of demons of Ars Goetia, well, those when you look at some of those sigils, like I said, it mimics the patterns of certain cymatic frequencies that's in the music. So it depends on what interval that the music is playing at. Like I said, these demonic forces, they can attach onto your spirit and use you for a certain agenda. So that's what I'm saying. Like as he was saying, play the music at a certain level to where it can raise up your vibration.
Definitely.
Indeed.
Hold on. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Rich.
Okay, Rich. Go ahead.
No, I just wanted to add on to what the good brother's saying, and it's something that we can do immediately, because I never want to be the person that goes so deep into what we're talking about that we make people feel ashamed or feel like, oh, it's over. I've been listening to trap all my life. What we could do is what we could do right now. And what we could do right now is every night before you go to sleep, make sure you have the 432 hertz or the binaural beats. Wash the aura, wash the mind. When the body is recharging and uploading all of the memory and whatnot to your higher self, you want the quote unquote frequency of tranquility to surround you. Don't have your phone next to you, have it somewhere else, or have a speaker set up. Brother Rich has a manifestation, quote unquote. You might not have known that. The brother has a whole album. Listen to that. Just put it on loop. So that's one of the ways, especially for our young ones as well. They should have small speakers put in the room. After the bedtime story, just turn the 432 of the binaurals up, so very low and whatnot, and charge them like crystals. That is something you could do for free. It's sufficient, and we all can make it happen right now. It's not against your religion. It's not against anything. Begin to charge your house up. Put them speakers in the corners and whatnot. The speakers, not the big ones. I mean, if you want it loud, whatever, but set up that sound temple.
We often talk about the revolutionaries like Malcolm X and Khalid Muhammad, Marcus Garvey, and how the government, they monitor them, they attack them. Do you think the government monitor and attacks the soul singers, the R&B singers, just as much as BDell says, the soul music, and he was talking about the R&B music? Do you think the top dudes, like let's say a Marvin Gaye, let's say I don't want to use the name, let's say R. Kelly, even though I'm not talking about the crazy shit he did, but just in terms of his effectiveness with R&B, but do you think these R&B guys is just as revolutionary as a Marvin Gaye because they're programming the people with music?
Three questionable deaths real quick. James Brown. Go and look it up. James Brown went to the hospital, went to the dentist. He didn't go on Christmas. He didn't go for intestine issues. He didn't go for heart issues. He was going to get his teeth checked. Never checked out. Prince, still very questionable. Michael Jackson. Let's go further. Whitney Houston. Right? And then let's go into Sam Cooke. And then let's go a little bit further into the multitudes of our people who we watch on shows like Unsung. Where are they now? It's almost the same story every single time. There was an agent of the CIA. Their agent who come to find out, or their manager, somebody in their inner circle was working with them people and always keeping tabs on them and whatnot. So one of the things that the CIA talks about is called time, energy, and money and whatnot. And when they are working on infiltrating a target of theirs, they make sure that they try to manipulate their time, because once they take those out of order and they throw off your homeostasis, like when you got all of your time, you got all of your energy, and you got all your money right, that's when you start moving mountains. But then when they put you in Strava's mode, you go from Strava's to survival. So who comes in? The IRS. Who comes in? Family court and whatnot. All of these different agencies work together to begin to mess up your flow, mess up your confidence, mess up your creativity, right? And then they could set you up to get you knocked off with the overdose, right? It's so many unsolved murders. It's so many suspected, quote unquote, just last minute deaths, sudden deaths of megastars. And let's not talk about the rappers, where those murders were suspect, like a Tupac and a Biggie. That's highly suspect.
XXX as well.
XXX as well. Come to find out one day when we get older that some of those was hits that was paid by them people, bro. If you got YSL Woody and them being debriefed and he's talking to the popo casually about the bodies that he caught, you think if they got these people coming, they shaving off 100 years for some of these rats. You don't think that they out there drilling for them? I think so. I will not put it past them. I will not put it past them. So I feel that they even know the messianic ones amongst us. They know about the messiahs. They know about the black and more messiahs. They can read your DNA. You understand? Don't think that they're not doing biogenetics. Don't think that they're not doing genealogy. Don't think that they're not doing the genome of every single one of these artists. That's why they lock them all up and make sure they have their DNA. If they didn't get it from a tied up condom from one of their assets, who there are a lot of sex workers that are CIA. You might be running around with your little thotties and whatnot, or what you call a baddie, and she's an asset. Because that's where the CIA works. They say that they work the best on your private self, and in your private self, they deal with your sexual proclivities. They know what you like. They know your kinks. They know everything that you're into, and they will send them to you. And then when they get you vulnerable and you start leaking the news, you introduce them to your secret self, and it's game over after that. And they've been able to run this country on that principle. So don't talk to me about, oh, that's a theory. No, that's how they control. That's how they've been running espionage, which is a top of the line business globally, not just here, globally. So they're doing it in hip hop, of course. And yeah.
So yeah, I agree with you, because the great majority of these producers or the bodyguards, they really are masquerading as agents. So they, like I said, they surveillance them. You got people on payroll and they don't even know that these people are working behind the scenes with Masonic orders, and just to keep tabs on them in case they leak out certain information through the music. So,
super facts. Mossad, look at Ye's handler. You know what I'm talking about? You know what I mean? Everybody around them is compromised. It's rare that that's why the music industry is so let in. They let people in. You just can't go in there. They'll be like, nah, he can't go with you.
Facts.
Everybody is an actor. Remember, this is all theater. I don't ever want nobody to tell me about, oh, this rapper is not this and not that. Listen, retard, they're giving you their public face, and so are you. We don't know who your secret and your private self is. This is all a game, bro. This is all theater. They're on the stage and you're not. You know what I'm talking about? Let these people play their role. I don't need them to be a killer or whatever you want them to be. They're playing a role. This is their public face. This is their character. You doing a stanky leg to their music. You diddy bop into it. And if you're not, then somebody else is. But with that being said, they're also following a script. Don't think nobody is doing anything blindly. And if it's blindly to the fact that they didn't sign anything on a dotted line, they're still underneath for mind control.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know what
Bobby?
Go ahead.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no, finish it though. Finish.
And you mentioned Bobby Hemmett. It was Bobby Hemmett that gave me the science of the egregor. It's in a book that he edited called Melanin People. I have it right here in the crib. I'll find it while we, I'm going to show it to you. It's a classic book, but he's the one who hipped us about that. So, when you go into corporate America, they have something called corporate etiquette, right? They'll give you a corporate manual to teach you the corporate structure. And you'll even have orientation. The orientation is bringing you into the egregor. Corporate culture is introducing, you become part of groupthink. You start talking the lexicon, the lingo, and you think like the corporation while you're inside of it. And then when you leave out of it, then you're back to yourself. Then you get in your car and Meg Thee Stallion comes on and you're back in your egregor. Ha ha! That's how it works.
Damn, man.
You're gonna have a hot girl summer and you go into the goddamn after hours and you're gonna get slid by sitting them. And that's how it works. You start saying, damn, I got an itch that needs to be scratched. Where did that come from? That came from the frequencies coming through your radio and whatnot, because they keep playing the same 10 songs that they probably were responsible for mixing and mastering or remastering and whatnot, so they could integrate all kind of frequencies in them, which are subtle auto suggestions, right? That have you thinking certain things and feeling certain things and all kind of thoughts that are foreign to you. You be like, where is that coming from? It's in your ecosphere. It's coming through your quote unquote, it's coming through your phone, it's coming through that radio. And if you got them flat screen TVs, the new digital ones, it's coming through there, and it's coming through the Bluetooth. So people have to figure out that what the fuck was going on around them. There are ways to protect themselves, but you need to know that there's a war going on outside and there's a frequency war. And you can observe it in the behavior of the adults, but mostly, and goddamn it, immediately in the children.
Definitely.
Yes.
Back, BDell mentioned sigil several times. And, we're talking about frequency and programming. And one of the things that was very consistent with the music we listened to back in the day was the logo, the symbol with these artists. Wait, go to mommy, right? Go to mom. So we had Wu-Tang with their logo. Everybody knew what it was. We had No Limit, who had the tank, the No Limit tank. You had Bad Boy with the baby. Yes. You had Death Row with the man, and I think on the electric chair. All of these groups, all of these labels had these logos that was imprinted in our minds. You don't see these anymore with these musicians. Facts. And if we do, we don't really know about them. So do you think that change? How does that change the game when it comes to the music we listen to, when the logo or the sigil is no longer attached to the music that is being made?
Well, I think it's due to the corporate structure of the record industry. A lot of people don't have like independent labels, like to where like, hey, this is Dipset and this is who we are. People don't operate on a autonomous brand anymore because they're being bought out by big corporations in the industry. So I think that's probably the reason why when it comes to that.
No, I'm here to share that exactly the reason why. And I know the main culprit, and I got the receipts. It was Liar Cohen with the 360 deal.
Yeah.
Remember?
Yeah.
He was at Def Jam when Cam and them. Remember the incident with Cameron and Dipset at Rockefeller between Jay-Z, who was the chosen one. That's when everything changed. That was the main shift right there. They stopped the advancement of people who were not quote unquote signed on. They were not signed on to play the game. They was letting these Negroes into the wrong rooms. So once Liar said, "Nah, we gonna put a stop to this shit," he grabbed Jay-Z. He gave him his own thing. They shut down Rockefeller. They even homie left. He started 300 Entertainment. One of his first artists is Young Thug.
Yep.
Fetty Wap was his first artist, right? So he came in with the Trap Queen and whatnot. And Liar Cohen introduced the 360 deal. Now with the 360 deal, you can't brand your artist. Now, if you can't brand your artist, you can't have a label, because the labels, they had to shut all of those mini labels down and buy them up because the Irv Gotti's was getting too big. The Kenneth Supremes had their hands in shit. The Jimmy Hint, the streets was tied into these smaller labels, and they were about to start competing with these big dogs.
Mm-hmm.
So they was like, nah, we're going to swallow these niggas up. We're going to fund some of the bootlegging to mess up the money and whatnot. I'm going to introduce them an offer they can't refuse, the 360 deal. We'll own the merch. We'll own their album. We'll own their likeness. We'll own everything in the artist, their ringtone and whatnot. And they not going to be able to brand themselves because they got niggas on album-to-album deals and, you know, all of that stuff. So, yes, they did away with the labels, bro. You don't see no powerful labels running around.
I didn't know with the 360 you couldn't you know, start forming your own little label or something. Like, I didn't know that was part of the 360.
My question to you would be this: the artists that were able to branch off and become labels off of the artists were mostly empire artists. If you think about it, how many Young Thug had to get off for 300 before he was able to establish his and really get his label popping and whatnot? How many artists spun out of a 360 deal and became one of these megalithic labels that they could compare to a rock? You got to talk about not comparing to a Rockefeller, because people talk about, oh, Drake sold more than Jay-Z. Fam, y'all don't understand how this thing works. The OGs paved the way. They kicked down the doors. So when the next people come in, of course, you're supposed to sell triple quicker. It's like how any TA charts, if you know how to read the charts, that's all that is.
Mm-hmm.
So of course he's supposed to surpass him. Homie broke all kind of barriers, did the heavy lifting and moved things around.
Mm-hmm.
You're not supposed to do equal as me. So the new labels of today are supposed to eclipse the Rockefellers of yesterday, the Murder Incs of yesterday. I'm talking about labels that was turning out hits. Remember Bad Boy and their run? Oh my goodness. I've been watching Lance, the Rivera, and them talking about that stuff. And then Dear Mama, bro, the 90s was magical. A lot more organic than what you see today.
Mm-hmm.
Even with the super duper influx of independent artists who could upload anything to DistroKid or to the digital streaming platforms, they have not in no way, no how whatsoever have come close to the magic of what was going on with the music that was coming out from 1990 moving up to about 2000 and I would say 10. Like before Obama.
Yeah. That's tough not
Obama
being
started nosediving.
Yeah. And that's tough not being able to brand yourself. Like imagine if we couldn't brand what we do right now. We we don't have the identity. That means shit. Somebody else is going to give us an identity. And I guess that
ain't nothing but another tool of economic disenfranchisement.
Right. There's another tool, right? Take away, the small hats, take away their ability to feed their team, take away the ability to create a Rich Paul. You know how much they fought against that? They're not sleeping easy because LeBron brought in a group of people who have the potential to disrupt the whole hierarchy of their good old boy system, where they was appointing you as an asset, as a quote unquote athlete. They was going to appoint you your agent. They was going to give you your manager. They was going to give you your quote unquote publicist and whatnot. And that's the way that they had handles on you. That's how they control you. And they was eating off of you about 5 or 6 ways.
Yeah.
So they like, damn, these Negroes is figuring out how to eat off of each other. We got to intercede on that. The NBA does it. The NFL does it. Hollywood did it. You look how they stripping homeboy who was Kang the Conqueror.
Yeah.
I think they say music is our biggest export in this country.
What else do they have?
Yeah. Do you know
what does America make but their entertainment? Think about it.
Yeah.
When they went to this whole thing with China exposed the books, I looked at the ledger. America exports nothing but what they call the black diamond. That's why the passport bros is lit wherever they go. Our face card is good. We the black diamonds. Hold on.
To this day.
You know what I'm talking about?
To this day.
It's us. It's not them. They're not exporting John Wayne at the pace that they're exporting Lil Wayne. You don't have the same impact. They're not emulating quote unquote Kurt Cobain in Japan. They're emulating Kurt Cocaine, nigga. Young Jeezy. They want to be BMF. Are you stupid? Are you dumb? This culture is the biggest export and we don't get nothing for it. We got to still fend for ourselves. There's a problem. This shit is defunct. There has to be an issue taking place. The business model has to be disrupted. Because if it's 50 years old, look at hip hop. It's 50 years old, Rich, and BDell. And we know some people that's hitting 50 and whatnot. That's half a century.
Facts.
Yeah.
They put a list out today of the 10 top black cities, and it was embarrassing. Niggas was getting hyped. They was like, oh, one of the top cities is Bloomfield, Connecticut. I lived in West Haven. I used to go to that Planet Fitness. Bloomfield is not all that. So the fact that a neighborhood is not all that is our top city, nigga, and hip hop is 50 and is multi-trillion-dollar worth, there's a problem, bro. The frequency that was being emitted has not gentrified it has not terraformed our surroundings and whatnot and made it a paradise. It has done quite the opposite in some situations, depending on where you live. I was in Philadelphia, I was in B-More, and I was in Boston in the span of 3 days on the tour with 19 Keys and whatnot, right? Those are all hoods. And I got to see the condition of our culture, our hoods, based off of them following the culture that what we call the 85 is prescribed to. Because I don't know what our what we look like prescribed off of this culture that we prescribe to. But whenever we get together, like on that tour, man, it's lit. The energy is at such a high frequency. You could play a quote unquote one of those songs and whatnot. It's not gonna make us want to fight each other and cut each other and kill each other. You could play a song that has, a little bit of twerking to it. They're gonna make that spiritual. It's depending on the state of the mind.
Right.
Your interpretation of what it is that you're that you are interfacing with. There are some people that they misinterpret everything that they hear, and all of the messages that are being sent to them, they're taking it for face value. They're like, oh, I need to go kill 20 then. If that's what Dirk said, he said, you can't come around me unless you're a killer. And there's people going out and they killing, they catching stains and whatnot so they could be around Dirk, bro. But we cannot point the fingers at the youth and whatnot. The OGs and the elders have to take full responsibilities. You planted the seeds. This is your work. The hate you gave little infants fucks everyone. They didn't wake up like this. They didn't wake up like this.
And I believe the women, the divine feminine, energy has the ability to reverse the polarity of negativity that's being propagated in the music. But it's only the reason I say that is because due to the fact that we have the false propagation of masculinity, a lot of women in my generation, they're acclimated to that type of energy. They think masculinity is a man with his pants down, holding a gun and things of that nature. Right. But if they transmute that energy and put that energy to venerating a certain demographic of men, they can reverse the polarity of what's being perpetuated in the music. You see what I'm saying?
They play a major part.
Yeah.
Right.
They play a major part. Yes, they play a major part. They are the ancient heart. They are the ones who they dictate the frequency. They dictate what frequency we are to be tuned to. As soon as they say this is the frequency that we hear and see at its highest, then we get on that frequency. Remember, we're chameleons. We conform. It don't take us long. That's the power of man. We could get in line. We could go from knuckle dragger to God overnight if need be. Just depends on the pull. It depends on the magnetic pull of our divine counterpart that's in front of us. You could pull God out of us. But you can also pull a demon out of us.
I was listening to Red.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah. I was listening to Red. I was in the car listening to the other day. I'm driving home. I forgot where I was with my son, and I'm driving home, and I'm listening to some house music. And I thought we're talking about frequencies and programming. And the dude, it's this Atlanta station, so they was talking about the origin of house music. And I'm thinking to myself, when you hear house music, the old house music, I remember my uncle used to listen to it, and he was a DJ. And it's like this real freeing vibration, and the people dance and they loose on the dance floor and they doing their thing. And it was like a black thing when it first started. What I'm trying to figure out, if this frequency was so was like, people was vibing to it, having a good time. It's like when you go to the festival and they play it and you just see people start dancing. How did house become like associated with like being gay? How did that frequency, that vibration turn into, oh, that's a gay thing? So now we can't vibe to that because that's a gay thing. And if you listen to house, you're gay. How does it go from where it was at, where it started, it's free and it's euphoric, to, oh, now it's gay? How does that happen?
You just said the words. It's free and euphoric. The definition of gay is euphoric and happy. From what I've seen, the way that house music is like kind of loose and chaotic like that, and what you call free, like that's something that these people who identify themselves as LBGT or LBGTQ?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, that it seems like that's their soundtrack. It seems like that's the frequency that they vibe with. They're very fluid. So there's a level of fluidity that they're able to express in those frequencies. That's an excellent question. That's a great observation of yours that you made, because I often ask myself that too, being there, and I see a lot of, I'm like, that is, this music attracts a certain sexuality of our people, and that's interesting.
Remember shit like Snap, I got the power. All that shit from back. Matter of fact, there was this thing on Instagram, black women dominated house music back in the day. Like there was a lot of black women that dominated house music. But BDell, chime in on that question if you want, brother. I would love to hear your perspective on that question, my brother.
As far as like, why is it only subjected to
how did it change? Like a lot of us vibe to that before we was even born, BDell. Then all of a sudden it just changed to something gay. Like, what happened to it?
Well, I think the perception of materialism is what transmuted the energy. Well, so when you have the great majority of like the hip hop industry and things of that nature, when they're propagating money, cars, clothes, and hoes and things of that nature, it looks fun, on a perceptual level. So due to the fact that, house music and stuff like that, it wasn't galvanized by the energy of materialism. So it was one of those things where it was kind of hard to get our demographic to, to tap into that energy, because it's not, they know that we're very a materialistic people and emotional people as well. So I think that was the diametrical difference between, the house music and the hip hop, basically.
Indeed. They naming some of the house on Groove is in the heart. CC, who else? Somebody said there was another big one. What's the name? Damn, I lost it.
Crystal Waters.
Crystal Waters. Yeah, Crystal Waters.
Crystal Waters was a legend.
Yeah, Crystal Waters was the last. So
But
yeah, so
is Soul
I
to
think
Soul considered house? Is
it's who?
Karen Soul to Soul and Karen
I'm not.
Winters and
I, I
Carol Wheeler?
I'm not sure. I don't remember. I would. I'm not sure.
Keep
I'm not sure.
moving, don't
Oh
stop.
yeah. That you see what I'm saying,
That's the
yo?
New York. Come on, that's
That
our
was
that's
a
the New York
vibe,
summertime anthem.
bro,
Soul to Soul.
bro.
That was
But you know
Harlem.
what? But
That's a time machine right there. You feel
this
me?
is
And it's
this is
close
what
to
makes
disco
it.
too. Keep that in
This is
mind, Rich.
hold up, Red,
Yeah.
This is what makes this conversation so interesting when we're talking about frequency and we're talking about programming and we're talking about melanin. We created house music. All of a sudden, it becomes something associated with gay. We created rock and roll. All of a sudden, white people adapt to that. Now it's a white boy thing. We create jazz. Now we no longer listen to jazz. All the jazz musicians are white now. So what is it about melanin and music where we're creating these frequencies and then we just abandon it? And then somebody else comes, picks up on it, and then all of a sudden they're the face of that frequency and they get all the props. The white DJs making millions and millions of dollars playing house music. We create all of these frequencies and we just abandon it. We no longer want to be associated with it after a certain amount of years. So let's talk about that melanin and the abandonment of these musical frequencies that it creates.
Melanin is always changing. Melanin is always transforming. Melanin is always evolving. Melanin is always upgrading. Right? There's gonna come a time where there's no more hip hop, or it's gonna merge. It turned into Afro beats. It is ever so often, transformative. So they pick up where we leave off. Going back to what I was saying earlier, it doesn't matter who comes after. It only matters who was there first. It's about primal. It's about primary source. It's about establishing yourself as the quote unquote architect, the one who planted the seed that grew the tree that many people eat from. Doesn't matter. And there's two aspects at play, brother Rich. Is the business aspect and it's the spiritual aspect. The business aspect is that industry is completely crooked, and as you see, they were robbing the talented melanated magicians that were out there. They were doing them wrong through paperwork and through trickery and whatnot. And after that, they were doing what? Infiltrating our industries with other nationalities, mainly theirs, and making profits off of it. Once they did what? Copied our formula, stole the formula, ripped off some of the quote unquote architects and whatnot, got people so desperate that they'll sell themselves out to be the ghostwriters and the quote unquote secret source behind some of their inventions. And it was, like I said, it was commandeered by Clive Davis. Remember that, y'all? Top op with the limp. Yeah, he was the one who basically came and he brought the contagion. And that's what we see right now. They've been ripping off billionaires, Rich and BDell. They've been ripping off $1 trillion from you talk about that needs to be added in a reparation package. What was done to our music industry and how they continue to fleece us.
Yeah,
because they giving away rap. They giving that they packaging that up, and that's for sale to the highest bidder. Shout out to Jack Harlow.
Facts.
Yeah, let's get to some questions from the family. We passed the hour mark. I want to get to a couple of questions from the family. I know Red Pill got to start his show in a little while on his channel. Make sure after this show, y'all head over to Know the Ledge, and Red Pill is going to be hosting Melanin Monday.
Know the Ledge Media.
Know the Ledge Media. Red Pill is going to be over there continuing the conversation and talking about other things as well. But let's get to a couple of questions before we get out of here, family. Great conversation tonight. We got about 2,500 people in the room. Shout out to everybody in the room. Make sure all of y'all hit the like button. We've been talking about musical frequencies, programming, possession, tonight. This show was inspired just watching John Morant continuously get himself into stuff he has no business getting into. He's, just because of, what many believe is him being influenced by an artist named NBA Youngboy in the music. So let's get to some questions from the family in the chat. Make sure you hit that like button. Let's see what y'all got going on in the chat. Give me some good questions. Let's see what y'all talking about in the chat. See some comments. I don't see any questions yet. Can they really? Well, we're not talking about reparations right now. Try to keep your questions focused. Okay, here we go. Somebody says, can you speak on the rituals performed on the masters of the music? I heard about that before. Did somebody in the music industry talk about that? Like there was a room where they performed ritual. Like
it was a record executive. He was talking about how on the top of the building they put the CD of the artist. They put it inside of a pentagram and they do like incantations.
I believe his name was James Todd.
Yeah, that's
we were doing the promotions for Blueprint 322, Rich, in 2009 on YouTube. We put up the James Todd video where he was confessing that they especially when they had masters back in those days before it was digital.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
They were doing incantations and basically putting in that work before it got cut into records.
Somebody wants to could you got for I think they mean can you go further into the Egregor? They spelled it wrong. Yeah. You want to explain that a little thoroughly for those who may not know what you're talking about, the concept of Egregor?
Okay. So an egregor is a group thought form. It could be created intentionally or unintentionally and becomes an autonomous entity with the power to influence. I'm going to say that again. An egregor is a group thought form, right? So QAnon is an egregor. Flat Earth, egregor. January 6th stuff, egregor. Reparations, egregor. Anything that's part of a group of thought form and whatnot, it is a group thought form. It's an egregor. It could be created either intentionally or unintentionally and becomes an autonomous entity with the power to influence. A group with a common purpose, like a family, a club, a political party, a church, or a country can create an egregor, for better or worse, depending upon the type of thought that created it.
To this day.
All right. Excellent question. Answer. Let's get to this next one. Okay. Why does music playing backwards sound demonic?
Well, it's kind of the same aspect when you look at the color spectrum of the LGBT flag. It's basically a reverse of frequency of your chakra system.
Right.
So the same thing is being emulated through the music. It throws off the energetic endocrine system, throw you off balance.
There you have it. So here we have, right, because perception is reality. The perception of the reality is that there are a group of people, right, who take pride in the fact that they have a backwards, right, depiction of Roy B. Jiv or Roy, you know what I mean, of the right quote unquote rainbow spectrum. But that's not a bad thing. That's a great thing because it's showing you there's a binary or a polarity at work right here. There's a group of people identifying themselves as having pride for being part of that negative charge or that backwards charge. And then there's a group of people here and we take pride in being in the forward charge or what you call the quote unquote, the right charge. Because this is the law of the universe. You cannot change the rainbow. You cannot change Roy B. Jiv. You cannot change the chakras. You can't change that. You can't change the frequencies or the colors that go with them. Those can't be tampered. So, It's nothing to be alarmed of. It's the fact that, okay, because there's protagonists and antagonists. There's up and there's down. So the fact that there's a group of people who are identifying with that, then, you know, so be it.
All right, let's get to the next question. What are the panel's thoughts on white noise?
I've never
Do
heard
y'all
of that.
know
From a TV?
yeah, like when you have a baby, they say to play the white noise for the baby and to make the baby go to sleep. Like just that static, like
I'm not doing that. Yeah, I'm not playing no kind of static.
No, but
I'm gonna play it right now.
I think that's kind of like an electrical energy.
Like
static electricity. That type of frequency can cause brain hemorrhages, maybe.
I mean, keep in mind that we all went to sleep on these sounds.
I'm gonna play it for you. So
yeah.
Okay.
The 70s and 80s, baby.
So this kind of reminds me of Poltergeist.
Right, that's exactly what it reminds me of. You don't know if they were if they were slicing things subliminally in broadcast television, why wouldn't they do it in their white noise that they're broadcasting? A lot of majority of us went to sleep to white noise, and to be honest with you, that shit put a lot of people under spells. Sleepwalking, waking up doing violence. Waking up and choosing violence the next day and whatnot, nightmares. So I'm not 100% sure if that's what they meant.
Wow, this is interesting. Somebody said it's the primordial waters. It's radiation from the beginning of time, all sounds at once. Wow. Okay. All right.
Okay.
That's interesting.
Right.
But yeah, I remember they told me that when Sirius was born, they was like, you know, to put him to sleep, just play some white noise. We did it a couple of times too, and it worked too. His ass went, you know, help him go to sleep. But I'm like, in my mind, they used to talk about it back in the day too. I think Eileen might have talked about it or something. But that's interesting. All right, yeah.
Once again, 432 hertz, binaural beats, and John Coltrane. My son was born in jazz. You know, that's another thing you could play at night too, is some jazz.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Let's see. Let's get to another question. What does he think about digital music and synthesized sounds in comparison to natural music from real instruments and the effect it has on the spirit?
Well, I think when you look at, you know, the foundation of jazz music, you know, in my opinion, I think the universe operates on the frequency of jazz music, and it's also acclimated to your nervous system. So just in itself, like when you have like real instruments, real octave cymatic frequencies, it's able to rejuvenate the body. You know what I'm saying? And it's able to put the brain and your neurological faculties in a balanced state. So that's why, you know, the great majority I listen to, like music, I listen to a lot of jazz music most of the time when I'm chilling out, you know, just reading. I play it lightly in the background, but I don't really get into the whole digital musical instruments and stuff like that.
Right. Natural and real music will put you in it.
Like just like the organ, you know what I'm saying? Organs, you know what I'm saying, probably revitalize your organs when you play the organs, you know, because it's not by accident that, you know, they sound the same. So
right. Real instruments will put you in a trance, and synthesized sounds will put you in a spell. That's the difference. You're not going to get put in a trance under digital music. Doesn't happen like that. If you were to examine the music industry and how the killings of the rappers 10x and 100x, it actually happened at the time of the digital music taking over and the synthesized sounds. Once the real music and the real instruments was removed, then we begin to see the spell even take place at a higher level. It didn't have the same effect when they were using real instruments. when Jay-Z does a live show with real instrument, it neutralizes the shit that he was saying over the synthesized beats. When any artist performs with a live band, the frequency that they're able to cast and the spell that they're able to cast and the trance that they're able to put on the listener or in the audience, right, is higher than if you get up there with those with that little Uzi synthesized sound. When you get up there with the digital music or what they call the electronic sound, the electronic music, that's not real. That doesn't have the same effect of a drum. Any of the producers and beat makers out there, they can also tell you. I would love for Rich to answer that question because, you know, I've been in sessions and whatnot where real instruments were played versus what was coming off of the machine, and it sounds completely different. They have completely different frequencies and energies to them. And if you add live music to your song, you have a higher probability for making a hit or a classic. Forget about a hit. Make a classic. Because a classic is a classic and a hit. It can hit 100 years from now. Make a classic and put natural music in your music. And I promise you, you have more of an opportunity to do that than if you have it sounding like a video game.
And plus the digital synthesized music, that's also acclimated to nanogenetic mind control. Alexa, stop.
Super facts.
Yeah, it's also connected to nanogenetic mind control. So it's
that was a bar right there. Yo, the great Devon speaks a sign. He said that was genetic mind control. Some shit said doo-doo-doo. He said Alexa. Wow. They're telling me about me and my chat bot. They're telling me about Chat GP5, and he just told, yeah, let's go.
Now, let's get to the next question. What can be done to take back our music? Generational wealth is being ripped away from us.
All of the DJs that are out there, stop being lame. And I would say more, but this is a family show. You know, I got some of my hardest criticism for the DJ. They the ones that drop the ball, not the artists. The artists exist. The artists are thriving. The artists are creating. There's a whole ecosphere of artists out here with bars and classics. It's just the DJs chose the lower frequency, and they felt they basically, you know, they bent their knee and whatnot, and they failed at their job. It was the DJs, not the DJ like you on stage with the artist. We ain't talking about that DJ. That DJ don't exist no more. We talking about the mixtape DJ, the playlist DJ, and the club DJ. Y'all was supposed to have conscious music lit right now, because there's artists that got some lit ass music, but it's not going to grow legs and it's not going to be a hit if your ass don't play it in the club.
Facts.
Or if you don't play it on the radio, or if you don't play it to college students. Y'all are the ones that became the D riders of the frequency that put you under control and whatnot. And you fell into the quote unquote, you were the first bottle girls and the first lap dancers. You hoard yourself out for a frequency of music and whatnot that you thought was going to get you lit and whatnot. But how, when none of you stand out, there's a million of the DJs playing the same music, and there's only like 4 or 5 of them that stand out. And all of the ones that's getting real money is melanated right now. But if you broke Cyrock, if you broke Cambada, if you broke the Pillars, if you broke AA, if you had that on your name and your title and whatnot, your value would have gone up and you would have been a part of history. And you niggas dropped the ball. That's a fact. So when any DJ try to ride through and say something, I'm like, yo, you got to show me with your action. I was listening to you for 10 years, but nobody was listening to me with your goddamn tag on it, with you playing it though. So the DJs could start with that. We are already taking back our music. Stop signing to the labels and build your own. Tap into the AI tools that are available and turn your thing into something new and something exciting. The Apple glasses is coming. So get into VR, virtual reality, augmented reality. You have to take this music from a whole different stance right now. Be in a metaverse with bars. Be in a digital world with bars. I'm telling you that. Stop being so proud and whatnot. But it don't got to be you. It could be your children. And it don't matter what age you are. If you have talent, why would you not do something when everybody else is doing something? Do you know how much songs get uploaded a day? Why would you not? If everybody else is making, if they throwing their hat in the ring, because that's why I say I can't blame nobody for doing what they do. This is not the record industry of 20 years ago, right, Rich? Indeed. How easy was it to get a record out 20 years ago if you was nice and you was like, I want the world to hear me? You couldn't take that. You just couldn't be any independent route. No, you couldn't do it like that. Now you could do that. So we need more goddesses singing about them being goddesses. We need people to take these popular beats and these TikTok beats out here and remix them and put some new, but I'm not going to say positive because that's not what I don't rap positive. I rap a frequency this in alignment with my DNA and who I told the people I was. I give them a version of the Scorpion King. You know what I'm talking about? But they say that you have 1,000 parts of you. So I give them all parts of myself because I will not box myself in. So there's a whole spectrum of what I represent. And I have multiple sounds, multiple styles and whatnot, multiple flows. You know, I'm just being, it's some of the most therapeutic it's some of the most therapeutic outlets that you could ever think of, where you could just put your creation out there into the world with nobody telling you when you could do it, how you could do it. We need to own you. You need to sign your life away to us. Nah, bro. So people be complaining about some of the wrong things, but more artists need to get on the frequency, tap in, you know, and get to this bag because it's out here. It's out here. Don't limit yourself. Your face card is good everywhere, even in cyberspace. And I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, BDell, did you want to touch on that question or you want to move on to the...
No, well, in my opinion, I think the best way to take back the music is have the resurgence of the underground music. I kind of see it being done with Griselda a little bit, and play many different branches of hip hop groups that's stemming out of that demographic right there. But that's the only way to do it, is to, you know, revitalize the infrastructure of the underground music industry, and then stop signing to these big corporations and these big record labels. That's the only way you can really do it.
We're saying the same thing, exactly.
Let me ask y'all, do y'all think quote unquote low frequency fans support the low frequency artists more than high frequency fans support high frequency artists?
Hell
and
yeah.
if so, why are so-called low vibrational people, why do they appear to be so supportive opposed to the music, to the Jay-Z's, or as they say, Beyonce's, or whoever they say is a part of the Illuminati? The low frequency fans seem to be way more supportive to these artists than the high frequency fans appear to be to these high frequency artists like a Cambada or Cyrock or whoever may be out there. Why does that appear to be?
Reason I think so is because there's a dichotomy between individuality and personality. So the great majority of people who are acclimated to that low vibrational energy, they dealing with the dynamics of a personality. A person who has individuality, they're more subjected to not to venerate anything outside of themselves to a certain standpoint. So a lot of people who dealing with the aspect of a personality, they worship the artist. They venerate everything that the artist does. If the artist says do this and that, they're basically acclimate that energy, and they do the same thing that the artist was basically perpetuating in the music and things of that nature. So they have a more autonomous fan base. because, like I said, they need a form of external stimulation.
Low frequency music could also be called bass music. And bass music is, has a bass foundation, and the bass foundation is always more populous than what you see at the top. So the higher that you get in frequency, the more thinner the air gets. It's not the other way around. So there are more ignorance is bliss. So there's more people at that lower frequency, which would consider to be the bottom or the lower rungs. And we're in Mount Kuf, or what you call the Kali Yuga and whatnot. So yeah, there's a lot of people in the pit. So there's large numbers of that. As you elevate in thought, the way that the frequency and the way that the lyrics and the way that the music is put together, it will either magnify or repel when people are interfaced with it based on what their frequency is. So the measuring point of people's frequency should be the music. If you could stand in the club and listen to an hour of Cambada, and feel it, to whereas you're dancing like how they danced in house music, you just let the music and the lyrics go through you, and then it actually takes you into possession and into trance, and you're coming up with new dances and everything, and you find a self of freedom. You could break through, especially if you're on the shrooms, because his music not only is high frequency, but it's made with a certain type of frequency where it's infused with the psychedelics and the psilocybin and things of that nature. So it's almost like if you take that, it will unlock multiple worlds, because words are what? Worlds.
Yeah.
Words are worlds. So I'm saying, we're going into a future that's coming up very soon where you'll be able to walk into a world that you created with your words, because Apple is coming with the glasses. And please believe, when an Apple product drops, the world stops.
Facts.
Everything is going to make sense that we've been telling you about since the beginning of this fiscal year with AI and we've been preparing you. But when them glasses drop, it's going to be an iPhone moment. So things like Cambada's music and Cyrock's catalog, you'll be able to see that in a virtual reality sense. You'll be able to see the words come to life. The genius that these artists possess are so ahead of their time that the reverberation of the impact that they have on the collective is not going to be felt immediately. You feel me? I was alive when Jay-Z came out. He wasn't felt immediately.
Facts.
His impact was it took time. You know what I'm saying? So the music is being created and it already has a reverberation. The numbers of the people who subscribe to the soundtrack, right? Once they fully are able to tap in and you see the full numbers of them, that's when you see the multi-million-dollar sales. The fact is the network is not put together properly and whatnot, and there's no cohesion and things of that nature to properly see a Cambada go 1 million out the gate, because that's highly possible, because they're dropping videos and it's going 1 million out the gate. The numbers are there. And we're talking about a single for $1. So the numbers are definitely there. The numbers have not learned to coalesce as a collective so their names can be counted. Once that's established, then we'll begin to see what we need to see. I just think that there needs to be a little fixing taking place. But the DJs, once they step it forward and do their due diligence, then it will make the quote unquote train begin to move again and the plane begin to fly again. They're holding us back.
We're gonna get to one more question before we get out of here. Magnificent show. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. I mean, what a magnificent show. This last question here, they want to know, do the streets still determine what's hot? Great question.
Hell yeah. The hottest song in New York right now is Scarlet, Get the Fuck Out New York. And the street said it was a banger. And I was like, it's a banger because they said that. When I first heard it, it wasn't a banger. I'm gonna keep it a buck with you. I was like, Astaghfirullah, what am I listening to? But when the streets co-signed it, the angle changed. You look at it differently. So it's all about perception. Life is what? Perception. If this shit is lit, if they say it's lit, it's lit. If it's lit, it's lit. If they say that you lit, if the ladies say that you lit, you lit.
That's facts. If the suburbs say that you lit too.
That's right.
That's
right. If the ancestors say that you lit, it's the same way that a shorty could choose you. That's the same way that the angels can choose you. You could get chosen by 77 legions of angels. What are you talking about? Family? Y'all out here, you know what I'm saying? Settling for trying to get chosen by a Jezebel or a Dottie or somebody that might compromise your auric field and whatnot. It's real outside. And because of the dysfunction that the culture represents, you're going to see it play out the most between the genders. That's where it broke. That's the foundation, going back to primary source. Once we're able to fix that, or just, just approach it, you know what I mean? It's going to fix itself. But like BDell said, it's in the frequency, Rich. It's in the love. What we have to sample the quote. It was already done. You can't recreate what was already done. The way that our music is set up, the way that our culture is set up, we'll take a blast from the past. All of us got grandparents and we miss them. And all of the stuff that they listening to, we need that medicine in our music right now. And then we need some good lyrics on top of that with some fly visuals. And all of this shit will fall by the wayside. The reason why we keep having these conversations is shit is not being done at the pace that it's supposed to be done. If we was having things done at the pace that it was supposed to be done, we would be having a party and whatnot. You know, what's missing in a lot of things, and the brother talked about it on his tour, 19 Keys, is the aesthetics. Going back to what I was saying earlier, this is aesthetic nihilism. The face tats, the piercings, the fact that Vibes Cartel completely bleached itself out. And by doing that, he created a whole genre of people, a whole following and whatnot all over the Caribbean that was following that. And that's attached to a certain type of egregor and whatnot. Aesthetic nihilism, people adapting the fact that they want to look like they zombies. They want to look dead. They don't want to look alive. They're not embracing life. They're embracing death culture. And they're telling you that. And you trying to give me small talk. And I'm like, nah, these people are embracing nihilism. Do you understand what that means in Western concepts, bro? That's Nietzsche in them. That's everything that they teach you in America. This whole shit is a nihilistic civilization. So they've been able to reward the artists amongst us, and they've been able to reward them and push them to the front, and they've been able to make their messages amplified and whatnot because they talk about the nihilism, and the nihilism is affecting our babies. Where you hear Kodak say that he know the perk was fake, but he still ate it because he's a gremlin, a super gremlin, correct? So I'm not calling nobody out their name, nigga. He said it. But that's nihilism right there. I know this shit got a perk. I know this got the fetty in it, and I might be foaming at the mouth in 1 minute. But just to get an erection, nigga, just to get that perk 30, I'm gonna pop this shit. And they dying right there, right after that.
Right.
And people want to play games with me and try to. No, these babies is dying, bro. Y'all don't want to talk about that. And these babies is embracing crashing out. Crash out culture is not a nice thing to sit back and watch. If you have any quote unquote admiration for this generation that's coming up, because in this generation that's coming up, I'm like, yo, they fly as hell, bro. They got the generation, the younger generation. I admire them. They got a future ahead of them. I'm like, y'all throwing this shit away for what? To listen, just to turn up. I know the music turn you up and they bouncing and everything, but you throwing it all away for 1 second of that. So the OGs dropped the ball. You got the OGs coming home from doing 30 years. They helped fuck the hood up. You know what I mean? They helped destroy shit. You know what I'm saying? They helped set us back. You know what I mean? They played a part in that shit, bro. And then they come back and they do podcasts and they want to help the youth. And I'm like, this is what happened. If y'all didn't catch the children before they grew up, It's over, bro. There's nothing that you can do. The contagion is already, they've multiplied, nigga. It's done. There's nothing that you could come back and say on no podcast to change. You be better off coming home to spin. Like you was doing 30, you be better off picking up pace and just working for, for the cleanup crew. And clean up some of the things that needs to be cleaned up, because all that other shit is not hitting like that. It's not no, you didn't even apologize to their mothers yet. These are their children, bro. Because I see mad podcasts with old kingpins and whatnot, and they're not admitting that these are the Franklins in front of them. These are the children. This is the hate that you gave little infants, fam. Remember Gina? Yes, that's her son in them rapping right now. Talk to that. Talk to that right there. Yeah, you see the trend. Yeah, that her mom's is her. It's homegirl. Yeah, that's Judy and them daughter. Now he a boy. Talk to that part. So they like, yo, we feel bad about it. We want to do a summer league. I'm gonna write a book about it. I'm in talks with Hulu and Tubi. That's what they be saying. I'm like, nah, bro. That shit don't work. Maybe one or two of y'all, but not all of y'all. Teach the children how to survive jail, because that's where they're going. That's what you should come home and teach them, how to really hold it down, because they're going to the yard, bro. Without you, they want to see what it's like. Are you serious? They want to crash out. They want to be seen by the big homies. Certain people need that right now. This whole culture, this whole generation is being indoctrinated into gang culture. And I'm like, yo, where's the gangs that clean up the neighborhood? Where's the gangs that are buying back the block? Where's the gangs that just want to dress nice? You know what I'm saying? And help people. Where's the gangs that saving up money and whatnot and buying up LLCs and stuff like that? Where's the crews that are into stuff like that? Because you don't got to be a murderous gang. That game has been checkmated. If you don't see the 800 people that's snitching inside of this stupid, come on, man. We need to stop giving these people our energy, because it's clear to see that they have chosen a path, and we are observing the downfall. We are observing the crash out. We are observing the quote unquote. We got love for our people, but they following they underneath a spell, and they following a Pied Piper that I'm not getting in that crowd.
And that's because the great majority of my generation, since there's no OGs and father figures, they try to live vicariously
through the art. Yeah, of course.
So now instant gratification is the plague of this generation. So this is why you got all these afflictions.
Let me share something with you, BDell. Let's just think about how. Listen, this is how real it is. You could be in a car driving. A song come on. That artist can walk into you. You seen like every the movie Everywhere, Everything, All at Once, where the spirit was jumping into them. Yeah. So when they say you could live vicariously through an artist, I know people that could turn into artists with the minute the song comes on, they could turn into Vaughn. They could turn into Pop. They could turn into Jay. I know they could do it on Snap. So I'm like, they're invested. They're living vicariously. So when it's the drill rappers, when it's Dirk, when it's Vaughn, when it's NBA, and the other ones that got the real ops and whatnot, every kill, their followers they take that as a kill. That shit is a dopamine. That is they are invested in the kill. It's Hunger Games. It's Squid Games. They showed it in the King Von documentary. These niggas had 30 million tweets on Twitter. We didn't do Twitter back in the days like that. The drillers and the killers, they was running Twitter. They were killing they were killing live on social media. They wasn't just having tweets. Every single body in Chicago, there's a video and a picture to it to accompany it. It's just not accessible to the everyday person, but it's out there. So think about the fact that music dictates ideas, thoughts, and concepts. What do you mean, Red? What I mean is the music tells you how to act. The music tells you how to respond to things. The music tells you how to think. Like you said, they don't have the big homies. The music is the big homie. Whoever's hot at the moment is the big homie, right? So when people are joining gangs, you can't judge them because they don't have brothers and fathers and uncles. The gang is the brother and the father and the uncle. So they're gravitating towards something that they don't have. So you can't judge that. All you have to do is change their frequency. Yes, do gang, throw sets in, but now it's mudras and whatnot. Gang up and let's build this community and whatnot. Let's gang bang and bang on a community and clean that shit up. You feel me? Let's gentrify it. I know the 5 color palettes of gentrification. You know what I mean? It starts with a paint palette. And then you put the signs up and you will see how miraculously them things will change.
Hey, wow. I want to I want to wrap up the show. I got to get out of here, family, but I definitely appreciate everybody's support tuning in tonight for this magnificent show dealing with frequency possession, programming, vibrations, shit. I mean, a little bit of the history of music. I mean, touched on so much in one show. I want everybody. Red Pill got his show coming up on his channel, Know the Ledge Media. It's Melanin Mondays. So y'all can head over. Yeah, he's gonna do a slideshow. So if you're interested, we still got 2,300 people. If y'all interested, y'all can head over to Red Pill Show and show support.
Somebody
and
drop the link in the chat. If I have anybody from over there, drop the link in the chat so they could just click on, so they don't have to go. But it's Know the Ledge Media, Melanin Monday, and thank you, Brother Rich and Brother BDell, for the show tonight.
Appreciate you.
Before you leave, gentlemen, could y'all leave your contact info for the people if they want to reach out to you?
Mine is BDell1014, B as in dog. I mean, B as in boy, D as in dog, ELL1014, BDell1014 on all platforms.
Yes. And I'm Phil _Moreland, MORELAND, PHIL _Moreland, MORELAND. That is at Instagram. And I'm Red Pillar on Patreon. That's where I live, over there on Patreon /Red Pillar. Thank you, bro.
And family, this is Black Magic, aka Brother Rich, aka Father Rich. Thanks for tuning in. I'll be back tomorrow. Don't know with who yet, but I'll be back on here tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate all of y'all. Peace.
Peace. Peace.
Peace.